Okay. Is this in the appropriate spot? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is David, your host on this wonderful, fabulous, amazing journey through the world of the massage and bodywork licensing exam. I'm looking for my thing. There it is. Like I knew I had it. It just disappeared on me. So of course, a little bit of shameless plugs. Of course, I have the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide and Workbook 2021 edition available right now on Amazon.com, or you can go to my website, MBLExTestPrep.com or MBLExTestPrepShop.com. Or actually, it's not on the shop, but you can go there and that'll link you to the page on Amazon. Order your copy now. It's got a lot of great information. Basically, how I operate when I write study guides is I leave out stuff that isn't important for the test. That doesn't mean you're not going to be tested on stuff that isn't in the book, because you will. That's just how the test works. I'd rather you know all the stuff in this book and really better your chances of getting a high score on the test than not learning this stuff and focusing on other stuff that just isn't that important, if that makes sense. And then you're taking time away from studying for other stuff, and not a good thing. So definitely pick that up. I have a podcast, of course, the MBLEx Test Prep Podcast. I'm trying to find a place to put this book. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place right now. I'm all over the place. I know it's been just a few weeks since my last live stream, but here we are. We are back on the attack. So I do have a podcast, the MBLEx Test Prep Podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to that. I'm going to be saying this a lot. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode. It's been a couple months, but new episodes should be coming out soon. So definitely check that out. Subscribe. There are 23 episodes now, I believe. So definitely subscribe to that. You can listen to all of those. That's almost an entire day's worth of listening to yours truly teach you all the fun stuff. I do have tutoring packages available, already done, ready to go, ready for you to learn. All you have to do is go to MBLExTestPrepShop.com. I have two separate tutoring packages. One is the complete package, which has 25 hours of tutoring audio and video, and a complete practice test with a video answer key where we all go over it together, so you can see how you're testing, the strategies you are using that work and the strategies you're using that maybe don't work, how you can improve your testing just a little bit. And the complete package comes with I keep looking for this book, man. Comes with a copy of the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide Workbook 2021 edition. Okay, so I have that. That's the complete tutoring package, the complete package, right? 25 hours of audio and video, plus this, plus a complete practice test included in that. I have, if you already have my study guide, if you have one of my study guides, I do have a digital package where it's just the audio and video and practice test. If you already have a study guide, you don't need another study guide, right? So pick up the digital package. It's a little less costly, we'll say, but definitely it's a lot of the same stuff. Okay, just no study guide. I also have stickers, fun stickers. I got a sticker sample. I was like, it's just a few bucks. I'll see what these look like. So I will include one of these stickers in your tutoring package. If you get the complete edition, of course, because I'm not going to mail out just one small sticker for somebody that has the digital package, right? So I'll include a sticker. I only have, I think, 10 of them left. So if you want a sticker, get the complete package. I only have one study guide left too. I need to order more copies of my study guide. So you could potentially put me in a bind by going to MBLExTestPrepShop.com and ordering the complete package and making it so I am completely out of study guides for the time being. So, I mean, I would appreciate it. It's a good problem to have, but definitely head over there. Okay. So how the MBLEx Test Prep live stream works is you ask questions and I answer them, and we talk about strategies that we could have for taking the test and what to expect when you're taking the test. If there's any information you want to go over in regards to the test, we can do that. So feel free to, in the chat, you just add your question, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to ask me about. That's where you put it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking. And, we all know that I talk a lot because I got a lot to say. And it's just better if you ask questions. So please, let's ask some questions. Now, before we get into the questions, one last thing that I have to show you guys, of course, is my app, which is not available yet. Not yet. As of March 15th, 2021, it is not available yet, but it's getting so close. I have just like a couple things left to do on it, just some really minor things. I'm waiting on a friend to finish part of it, but other than that, it is ready to go. So I'm just loading it up right now, just so I can kind of show you what it's like. So here's, let's see if the light adjusts. There we go. Here's a brief little thing about my my app. Here's kind of what it looks like, the practice test portion. Anyway, so how this app is going to work right now, it's practice test questions. That's essentially all it is. My podcast is on the app as well. But it'll be practice tests at first. And then as the year progresses, I'm going to add more and more features. It does cost money to have an app made. And I don't have that much money on me at the moment, but by the end of the year, it should be completely done. So right now I have the practice test questions done. What is this question? I'm reading it backwards. The axillary, no, my light, come on. It's not cooperating on the screen. The axillary nerve innervates which two muscles? So I got my choices there. Teres minor and the deltoid, because I'm pretty sure that's the correct answer. And then you just answer it. You go through a whole 100 questions, just like on the MBLEx. And I don't tell you right now, anyway. I will eventually give you the ability to kind of customize your tests a little bit and tell you when you get a question right. Just right then, right when you answer it. Right now, it's set up like the MBLEx, where it tells you at the end what your score is. I don't give you the answers to the questions or anything like that. I want you as prepared for the MBLEx as possible, not prepared for taking practice tests, if that makes any sense. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. I'm hoping to have it done in the next week or so. So definitely on the App Store, look for it on there. Okay, let me check on here. Okay, so what questions do we have about the MBLEx? So I know some people are taking the MBLEx coming up. Some people are just starting their studies. So what questions do you have about this test that I can help with? And that was the correct answer, by the way. The axillary nerve does innervate the teres minor and the deltoid. It's located, it's part of the brachial plexus right here that comes out between C5 and T1. Comes out this way. It's called the brachial plexus because these nerves go into the arm, the brachial region. So they go through the armpit. The axillary nerve, anyway, goes through the armpit, which is why it's called the axillary nerve, the axilla, the armpit. Then wraps around right over here. So a lot of people have trouble with the nerves and the innervations, and it's really not that complicated. If you know where the nerve is, just think about muscles that are in that area, and that can give you the answer for nerves that are for muscles that are innervated by the nerves. So if you know that the axillary nerve goes through the axilla and it wraps around onto the shoulder like that, what muscles are in that area? I mean, there's one huge muscle right there, and it's deltoid. So it has to be deltoid. Deltoid is one of the muscles that's innervated by the axillary nerve. And then you think about other muscles. There are a lot of muscles that kind of go through the axilla. So with the teres minor, you just have to kind of remember it, right? So teres minor and the deltoid are innervated by the axillary nerve. Man, I'm feeling my throat. All right, what questions do you have? Please ask away. I'm dying for a question. Otherwise, of course, I'm going to keep talking and talking. I would love to interact with people. I've been having a kind of a crummy month. The past month has not been kind to me. So I'd love to interact with some people and answer some questions and help you pass your tests. So fire away. What questions do we have? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep plugging my stuff too. So ask your questions, throw it in the chat so I can see it. Ask away. I'm here. And while I'm here, waiting for a question, I do have the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide and Workbook 2021 edition. So definitely go check that out on Amazon.com or MBLExTestPrep.com. That'll take you to the Amazon page where you can order your own copy. I have the tutoring packages available. Go to MBLExTestPrepShop.com and check those out. What else do I have? My app is coming up, of course. My app, my official MBLEx Test Prep app will be available soon. And I plug something else, right? My podcast. Check out my podcast, MBLEx Test Prep Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that. So what questions do we have? I got, okay. Thank you. Thank you for finally submitting some questions. I appreciate it so much. Okay, Ashley, what about the scenario questions? My main struggle. The wording of the question messed me up bad. I say this all the time, and it's people don't believe me. They just refuse to believe me until they're actually in the MBLEx that these scenario questions are worded so weird. And sorry, my cat is messing with a box. It's one of those things where you have to put yourself kind of in the shoes of the person who the scenario is about. Like if it's about a massage therapist, and I've on this app that I am making, I have over 2,000 test questions already uploaded on there. It's been kind of a struggle the past week. I'm getting writer's block. I'm trying to write a bunch of these scenario based questions. And it can be difficult trying to think of situations. I think about situations that I've actually been in as a massage therapist. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened to me. How did I respond? How should you respond? So you got to put yourself in the shoes of the person who the situation revolves around, and just imagine that you are in that position. So if you got a question about a therapist and a client, obviously you're going to be the therapist in most situations, but it might also be beneficial to put yourself in the shoes of the client and say, well, if the massage therapist does this and I'm the client, is this something that where we could have some sort of ethical situation going on? Is there any transference or countertransference going on in this situation? And of course, I always tell people, if you get these questions asking, what would you do in a situation like in some sort of ethical situation? I think, what would I do if I wanted to keep my license? Or what would I do if I wanted to keep my job? What would I do if I wanted to stay out of jail? Sometimes it's just that easy. You just got to slow it down, calm yourself down, and just think kind of logically about it, right? So a lot of scenario-based questions can involve muscles as well. Like the test may ask you, a person does a specific thing, like maybe they carry something, or they are walking or riding a bicycle, or lots of different situations. Trust me, I know, because I'm writing all of these situations as test questions. A lot of situations, you got to be able to put yourself in that scenario. You got to imagine that it's actually happening to you, and think, if I'm carrying something heavy, it's going to be kind of dragging my body down this way if I'm carrying it with my right side, right? If it's dragging this way, I'm trying to hold it up. There has to be some sort of muscle that's going to kind of pull back up. I'm thinking, what muscles might be strained if they're kind of locked in that position, performing an isometric contraction where you have tension in the muscle, but the length is staying the same. I got to think about what muscles do this action. So there are two that you really need to know. So there's levator scapulae and upper fibers of the trapezius, right? They elevate the scapula. So if they're stuck in this position, obviously the muscle is going to get a little bit worn out over time because it's being worked. And if you're carrying that, and trust me, I figured this out recently. I got really excited. I went to Target a couple weeks ago and found a 40-pound dumbbell, and I've only had one of those for a while. So I was really excited to get it, and I should have gone back. I mean, they had a few of them. I should have just gone back and gotten a cart. But I grabbed this dumbbell, and I was holding it in one hand and walking 100 yards to the front of the store, and it was just kind of dangling there, and my hands started getting tingly, numb, and everything. It's not good. And now my back is giving me trouble again. So, but definitely I was feeling it right up here as I was trying to hold that heavy weight, that dumbbell, that 40-pound dumbbell up, just trying to carry it. And then of course I switch hands and trying to get the blood flow back in there. Not good. So put yourself in that situation. Imagine what would, like, if you are experiencing that, if you are carrying something, how is your body going to look and how is your body going to feel? And I can possibly help out with a lot of those types of questions, the musculature scenario questions. Okay. Ethical questions. Again, just think, what would I do if I wanted to keep my license? How would I respond if I wanted to keep my job? What's in the best interest of the client? What's in the best interest of me remaining employed? So it's, you just got to, like I said, you got to slow down, take your time, breathe, which I'm absolutely not doing right now. Hold on. Let's all breathe together as I take a swig of my Newcastle brown ale. Figure help chill us out tonight. So hopefully, Ashley, that helped explain a little bit and get you a little more confident with those questions. Like I said, on my app, I am writing brand new test questions. So I think, how many have I written? There are over 2,000 test questions on the app right now. The app it's not available yet. I'm hoping by the end of the week it'll be available. And the guy I'm paying to have make it, I'm sure he's very anxious to get it done on the market so I can actually pay him. So anyway, so I'm writing a bunch of scenario questions, and that's the majority of the questions that I have yet to write will be scenario-based questions, both ethical and stuff like kinesiology, and maybe a little pathology too. So those are the ones you've really got to focus on, right? So be on the lookout for that. Of course, I'll let everybody know when the app is available. Just be on the lookout for it. Okay. And of course, the app icon is going to be that. It's just going to be white with that awesome logo on it. So look for it. Okay. John Rivera. How can I focus and get motivated? I can't study for the love of life. Listen, dude, why did you go to school? Why are you watching my live stream if you're not motivated to study? Like I'm assuming you went to school. I'm assuming you spent a decent amount of money on tuition, right? I'm assuming you want to be a massage therapist. These are all assumptions, of course. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't actually want to be a massage therapist, which is fine. It's one of those careers where not everybody does it their entire life. I'd say almost nobody does it their entire life. It's fine. In fact, I've seen a bunch of my students back when I was working at the school. They would only do it for like a year and then find something else to do. They're just some of those people that just jump from career to career, hoping to find something. So you went to school, you're paying tuition, you are preparing for the MBLEx. You're supposed to be preparing for the MBLEx. You're not going to be a massage therapist unless you pass this test, right? Like, why did you go to school? Why are you spending money on tuition if you're not going to take the MBLEx seriously and just sit down and study for it? Now, it might be the situation that you are in at home when you are trying to study. A lot of people can't really study when they're just kind of on the couch. I'm one of those people. I can't. I mean, I can work when I'm sitting on the couch, but not very well. And in my advanced age, you can't really see the gray. It's kind of dark in here, isn't it? But in my advanced age, I get very tired very easily. So sitting on the couch doesn't really work for me, brother, when it comes to actually getting work done. So I have a desk that I sit at when I am doing work. And sometimes I still get a little bit tired. But when I'm at that desk, I am entirely focused on, unless my kid is bothering me, either one of them, because they love to do that when I'm trying to work. I have the bedroom door locked, so they can't, hopefully can't come in. My oldest has figured out how to unlock the doors, which is awesome. Anyway, so when I'm at the desk, I am entirely focused on the screen in front of me. I have headphones on. I got music playing, and I am 100% focused on that. And so something as simple. I know we're all working at home now. I mean, a lot of us are working at home. I mean, I've been working at home for the past 5-6 years or whatever, so I'm used to it. But what a lot of people don't do is actually dress like they're going to work. And even doing something as simple as that, my wife works right here in our closet, and she could wear just whatever she wanted, but she still gets dressed like she's going to work in the morning. It's just that mindset, like for me, I got to put my shoes on. Otherwise I don't feel like it's time to work, if that makes sense. So you got to get yourself in the mindset of, I am going to work, and work can be studying, because this will lead to you getting work as a massage therapist, right? So it's all about putting yourself in that mindset where I'm here, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to get the job done, and the job in this case is studying for, preparing for, and passing the MBLEx, right? So try that. Try changing the area that you're studying in. Try studying at a table or a desk. Try to have as little distractions as possible. And of course, in my study guide, this one right here, the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide Workbook 2021 edition, I have plenty of study tips and test taking tips and stuff that you can use to better study and prepare for the MBLEx. So you can find that on Amazon.com or MBLExTestPrep.com. Okay. I should probably just keep it right here. So hopefully that answered your question, John. I hope. Okay. Moving down. Miss Jennifer, I didn't do good on critical thinking questions. ... Sad face. They're tricky. They're tricky. And I know I talked about that just a minute ago. Can you go over the quads and hamstring muscles? No. Okay. Yes, I will. Just a little bit. I think. Oh, didn't I go over the quads and hamstring muscles last live stream? I might have. Okay, I'll 1 sec. Of course, visual aid is important. 1 sec. Grab my close personal friend Calica here. Okay, so what just fell? He has a severed foot. Okay, so let's do the hamstrings. So the hamstrings are on this side of the body, the posterior side, of course. Posterior side of the thigh is where we find the hamstring muscles, right? So the fun thing about the hamstring muscles is all three of them originate on the same spot, on the same bony landmark. I love when muscles all kind of join together at one spot. It makes it super easy to remember that spot and the muscles that originate or insert onto them. I think about the greater tubercle up here, and there are 3 muscles that attach to that. Let's see. Does anybody know any of the muscles that insert onto the greater tubercle? Just throw it in chat. We'll see if anybody gets it. There are 3 of them. 3 muscles three muscles insert onto the greater tubercle. Okay, so the origin of the hamstring muscles is right down here. So does anybody know what this is? This bony thing right here. It's what you're sitting on right now. If you're actually sitting. I'm sitting, so I'm sitting on this, of course. So what is this thing right here? So when we sit, it starts with an I. See if anybody see if anybody gets that. It starts with an I. Anyone? No, nobody's gonna. Okay. Well, okay. This is the ischial tuberosity, which is part of the ischium. Thank you, Jennifer. The ischial tuberosity, this big bony projection right here. So all three of the hamstring muscles originate on the ischial tuberosity. Okay, so we have three hamstring muscles, of course. Can anybody tell me the three hamstring muscles in order from medial to lateral? What do you think? The three hamstring muscles in order from medial to lateral. And of course, I do have an easy way to kind of remember this. And you should always think of the hamstring muscles in this way. So you think of the hamstring muscles like in this order. And if you get a question asking what's the order of the hamstring muscles from medial to lateral, you know it. If you get a question, cat freaking out. If you get a question asking what's the order of the hamstring muscles from lateral to medial, then you know it. You just kind of reverse those, right? So the three, let me see. Seeing if anybody. No, nobody knows the order. All right, so three hamstring muscles in order from medial to lateral. We have semimembranosus, and then semitendinosus, and biceps femoris. So that's medial to lateral. So if I think about easy ways to remember this, all right, let me see. One sec. No, I'm not going to do that. Thanks. Okay. So if I have the order of the hamstrings from medial to lateral, I think of semimembranosus. I match up the M in membranosus with the M in medial. Okay, so that's my easy way to remember. Semimembranosus originates on the medial side of the thigh. Okay, and next to that is semitendinosus. So you can always put the semis together, semimembranosus and then semitendinosus. Semitendinosus is on top of semimembranosus. So you can remember the T for tendinosus on top. Easiest way to remember that, right? And then lateral is the biceps femoris. Okay. Let's there you go. Okay. Okay. You guys are crazy. So biceps femoris, all the way on the lateral side, I match up the F in femoris. I know that means femur with the fibula because it inserts onto the fibula. Okay. Does that make sense? So all three of the hamstring muscles originate on the ischial tuberosity. So they have different insertions. Okay? Just like the muscles that attach to the greater tubercle have different attachments, different origins. They all insert right there, but they all have different origins. Okay. So really you only need you only need to know 2 of the insertions for the hamstring muscle. Semimembranosus, you don't really need to know. With semitendinosus, best way to do this. There we go. Yeah, Meryl, stop being a bully. Oh, man. So, semitendinosus, of course, originates on the ischial tuberosity. And then comes all the way down here and wraps around onto the anterior side of the tibia onto a little spot right over here, named after what it looks like. And of course, I say if you ever have a chance to visit a cadaver lab, I definitely recommend it, because you get to see all of this stuff kind of, I mean, in front of you, and you can actually see why some stuff is actually named what is named. So this spot right here where 3 muscles insert is called the pes anserinus. Okay, so pes means foot. Anserine means goose. So this tendon, almost knocked that over. This tendon looks like a goose's foot, hence pes anserinus. Okay. So that's where semitendinosus wraps around, inserts right there. So we got 2 other muscles that insert there, sartorius and gracilis. Okay, and then of course, as I said, biceps femoris originates right up here, and then I remember the F match up with fibula, inserts right there in the head of the fibula. Okay, so those are the hamstring muscles. So what do the hamstring muscles do? Yes, thank you, Cindy. I do this in my closet. It's either this or you get to hear my kids running around screaming. So let's do that. There we go. Oh man. So what do you think? So what actions do the hamstring muscles do? So if the hamstring muscles are back here, how are they going to move the limb? What are the 2 actions of the hamstring muscles? What do you think? The 2 actions of the hamstring muscles. Remember, when a muscle performs an action, the insertion moves towards the origin. So if these insertions, abduction goes like this, takes it away. When a muscle contracts, okay, Britt says flex and extend. What is flexing and what is extending with the hamstrings? What do you think? So if the insertion is moving towards the origin here, what action is taking place here? What is this action? Anyone? Now, if you were to guess flexion, then you'd be correct. This is flexion of the knee. Okay, so I mean, that makes sense. The insertions are moving towards the origin, right? But the muscles cross the hip too. So what do they do to the hip? What do the muscles do to the hip? Now again, insertion has to move towards the origin to shorten that muscle. So this is what action on the hip? Yes, thank you, Cindy. It is extension. Okay, so the hamstring muscles flex the knee and extend the hip, just like that. Right? That would cause them to become shortened. So I mean, that's essentially it with the hamstring muscles, right? That wasn't too bad. So we got all 3 of them originating right here in the ischial tuberosity. Again, you don't need to know the insertion of semimembranosus, but semitendinosus and biceps femoris. Semitendinosus Inserts right here on the pes anserinus, and biceps femoris right here on the head of the fibula. And they flex the knee and extend the hip. It's just that easy. Okay. Now, when we talk about the quadriceps and hamstrings, of course, antagonists to one another. Quadriceps do one thing, hamstrings do another. So, oh, one sec. Okay, no, we're good. So we go over onto the, yes, Corey, this is recorded, and you will be able to access this later if you need to. So we switch over onto the anterior side. So we've got, hey, can you close that? I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you. Anyway, so we got the anterior side where the quadriceps are, right? The hamstrings are on the posterior side, quadriceps on the anterior side. So there's really only one quadricep muscle you need to know. That's it. Don't need to know any of the others. Just this one. So the one that's most anterior, most towards the front, is the rectus femoris. Okay, so the origin of the rectus femoris is going to be right up here on the anterior inferior iliac spine. And on the front, we have two iliac spines, so you got to differentiate between the two. So you have this one right up here, the anterior superior iliac spine, and this one right down here, the anterior inferior iliac spine. Okay, so that's where the rectus femoris originates. So that muscle will cross the hip. It will go all the way down here, cross the knee, and insert right here onto this bony spot of the tibia that kind of sticks out. And you should be able to palpate that a bit. Okay, so that is the tibial tuberosity. Okay, so originates here on the anterior inferior iliac spine and inserts right down here on the tibial tuberosity. So just like the hamstrings, they cross two joints, the hip and the knee. The rectus femoris crosses the hip and the knee as well, just on the other side. So these are antagonists to one another. The hamstrings and the quadriceps are antagonists, which means they do the opposite, right? So if you know that the hamstrings extend the hip and flex the knee, what do you think the quadriceps would do? What would the quadriceps do if they do the opposite? Seems to me they would move the hip into this position and the knee into this position. Okay. So what are these actions? What is this action on the hip? Okay, so that, well, okay, I got a couple people saying extend the knee. Yes, straightening the knee is extending the knee. Okay, and what is this? This is flexion of the hip. Thank you very much. So flexion of the hip, extension of the knee. Okay, flex the hip, extend the knee. So again, they're antagonists to one another. So if the hamstrings extend the hip and flex the knee, then the quadriceps and rectus femoris would flex the hip and extend the knee. That's it. That's essentially all you need to know about the hamstrings and the quadriceps. Just remember where they are, where they attach, and what their actions are. And just remember that they're antagonists, so they do the opposite of each other. My cat is scratching at the door. Okay. So what other questions we got? Let me take a look. One sec. I just have terrible reading comprehension. If the question isn't black and white, I panic. Don't know what the hell it's asking me. Yeah, that's unfortunate, Ashley. I apologize for that. It's one of those things. You try making scenarios yourself, because that might be able to help. And I know I don't know if you've taken the MBLEx before. If you have, then you wait. Of course you have, because you set up here. My main struggle. This is scenario questions. Try to recreate some that you might remember, and try to word it as similarly to the MBLEx as possible, and write a bunch of them and see if stuff starts to click. Become the director, if you will, and really try to get your comprehension up of those questions, and making questions yourself is a great way to do that. Okay. John, yeah, I get what you're saying. We in Puerto Rico get a 2-year professional license. I've been using that for the past year. Career is going super good, but I just can't somehow sit and read and study for the test. Well, I mean, you got to do it, right? It's not really an option. It's one of those things you just got to kind of force yourself to do it. And again, get yourself in the right mindset, and you'll get it. You'll get it. Isham, it's kind of sad how schools here don't care and just pass you, which I'll admit I didn't do very good in school, but in the practice I was really good, which is my main problem. I relied on homework. And unfortunately, a lot of schools do that, including the one that I worked for. And it drove me nuts when my class was the very last class that students would have before they were done. And they would get to my class, and I'd basically have to teach them an entire program in less than 40 hours. So I had my work cut out for me, but I made it work, and my students had a lot of success. So hopefully you can get some of this information kind of jogged in your memory, or you can learn a lot of this stuff. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast. You learn a lot of stuff that way, and definitely check out those tutoring packages that I have. That can go a long way for sure. Stop being a bully. Those were people that don't actually have my book, you guys. Sorry. Our trigger points on the test. Okay, I'm down to the bottom. Our trigger points on the test. They might ask a question or two about trigger points. It might ask, and again, I can't say for sure, even though I've taken the test. I don't know what's on it. Okay, so I don't know for sure, but if you get questions about trigger points, it may ask something like, what is a trigger point that causes pain in another area of the body? Like, what is that pain referred to as? Or a trigger point that causes pain without being palpated, or a trigger point that only causes pain when it's palpated. You might get questions about that. You might also get a question about the Travell method, which is used to treat trigger points, compression, ischemic compression. So, looking for the words. So make sure you kind of understand the basics about trigger point. It's not going to ask a ton of really in-depth information. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why my book is really good, because I kind of get rid of all the stuff that you don't need to know. Like, you don't need to know every little thing about trigger point therapy, just kind of the basics. And I kind of go over the basics in my book. So I got you covered there. Okay. You don't want to overdo your studying for sure. You don't want to. Okay. I felt the same way. I feel they taught us how to massage, but the school did a terrible job at preparing us for the MBLEx itself. Listen, not everybody knows how to prepare students for the test, and I do know how to do it. I'm really good at preparing students for the test. People just gotta kind of trust me a little. Just trust me, just a tiny bit. Okay. So make sure you are paying attention to everything, every little thing, and go above and beyond when you're studying. Not just using my material, but if you're still in class, and I know some of you are probably still in class, still in school, don't be afraid to ask questions. If there's something you're not sure of and you think it's something that you probably should know and want to know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Your instructor, okay, some of them don't know what they're talking about, unfortunately. Some of them are not the best. We'll just say that. We'll try to be nice. But a lot of them are actually really knowledgeable, and they won't hesitate to answer your question, and they won't give you a ton of attitude about it. Just ask. Just raise your hand. That's all you have to do, right? It's not too difficult to ask. All you got to do is have a little bit of courage. Raise your hand. Because I know we've all heard this before, but chances are if you have a question, somebody else has the same question. So somebody has to ask it. So just take the initiative. You ask. I don't know, maybe it's easier for me. I'm always the type that just takes the initiative. But my teachers were great. I learned medical massage, but I feel overwhelmed with the test prep. You got to break your studying down into smaller parts then. Got to break your setting down into much smaller parts. Okay, so if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel overwhelmed with studying, then study a little bit at a time. Don't study the entire thing. And in my book, I have the study plan kind of laid out, and you don't want to overdo it with your studying, right? So if you only learn one piece of information, if you only study like one piece of information a night, and you study it and you get it, that's perfectly fine. It might take you a little longer to get through the entire book, but let's just say, for one night, you want to learn, one muscle. You want to focus on one muscle that you are having problems learning. Okay, so you focus on everything. You go over that muscle. You go over the origin and the insertion and the actions, and maybe the innervation. Some muscles you need to the muscles of the limbs. You need to know the innervations for, I would say, but like the back and the chest and all that stuff. The head, you don't really need to know those innervations. So you go over that information. If you learn one muscle a night, that gets your confidence up, right? You know all of that information. You can teach somebody that information that information that you were not comprehending. You now understand it because you took the time, even if it took you an hour. You now know that information, right? So the next night you're going to become more confident. You're going to remember what you did to actually learn those muscles and those parts of the muscles and the origin and insertion, all that stuff. You're going to remember that stuff. And then you are going to apply that to another muscle. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, that wasn't that hard. I actually remember how to learn this stuff, right? And then maybe you learn 2 muscles that night. And then the next night you learn 3 muscles. So it's about taking it kind of piece by piece, baby steps until it becomes, toddler steps, and then child steps, and then adult steps eventually. And then I don't want you to get to senior citizen steps where they're really short because you got to use a cane like Stu Hart. Not a good thing. Okay. So just study a little bit at a time if you need to. It's totally cool, right? Hopefully I'll pass it the second time. Yes, hopefully you will. I believe in you. We all believe in you, Jennifer. And having people believe in you is a powerful thing, of course. So if you ever need any help or anything, feel free to reach out. My email address, david@mblextestprep.com. You can find me there. Send me an email, and I'm more than willing to help you out as much as I can, of course. And of course, I do have the MBLEx where, of course, I always losing it. So I do have the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide and Workbook 2021 edition. You can find that at Amazon.com. If you don't already have it, definitely check it out. This is going to be the best study guide you can find for the MBLEx for sure. Here's just a little example of all the fun stuff. Scalenes and splenius capitis right there. So lots of great information, lots of activities to do in this book, lots of practice test questions. There are over 700 practice test questions in this book alone. So you definitely get your money's worth for that. So what other questions do we have? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking and shilling, which I know everybody appreciates. Everybody loves when I talk and talk and talk and shill, talk and talk and talk and chill. So throw some questions up there. What you got? What you got? Otherwise, okay. So remember my app, the MBLEx Test Prep app, will be available probably the end of the week. So definitely check it out. I will make a post, of course, post when everything is available and ready to go. So you can check that out and download it, buy it, and enjoy all of the practice test questions that I've got in there. Again, a lot of brand new test questions going on, and you get a lot of great practice using those practice tests. And the fun thing about the app, you purchase it once and you get every update for free. I'm trying to make that happen. You get every update for free. So if you buy it at the introductory price, then after I add all of these new features to it, you don't have to pay because the price will go up, and you don't want to have to pay more if you don't need to. So yes, Ashley, I do know how much it is. I will not say. Any COVID questions? No, because I don't suspect COVID is being asked on the MBLEx. Like I said, I leave that information that you're probably not going to be tested on. And at this point, you're probably not going to be tested on the coronavirus. So, I mean, there are questions about, influenza, which is kind of similar. A lot of respiratory pathologies. So you got questions about that. Just pretend it's asking you about coronavirus, because it's essentially, you treat it the same way. Influenza is a deadly virus, just like coronavirus. So absolute contraindication, right? And it's a virus. So absolute contraindication. Just a lot of them are similar. Okay. So yeah, again, just don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. But Ashley, no, I don't. I mean, I do know how much it's going to be. I don't want to say yet. Hopefully you don't have this thought in your mind, man, it's going to be $100. No, it's not going to be $100. I promise. I promise it will not be $100. Will it be more? We'll see. It's not going to be more than 100. I promise. $99.99. That's not more than 100. It's not going to be that much either. Sorry. So, but be on the lookout for it. Okay. So if you were to guess under 50, I would say yes. Under 50. Hey, thanks, Cindy. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words, everybody, of course. Kind words mean so much to me. I know that sounded so sarcastic. It actually does mean a lot that people appreciate the work that I do and my efforts to get everybody past, because even though I'm not performing massage anymore, I want as many massage therapists out there as possible to make the world a better place. And listen, I was in your position before, all of you, where I had to take a licensing test, and I remember what it was like. And listen, my test was nowhere near as difficult as the MBLEx, for sure. I had to take the City of Reno massage test instead of the MBLEx or the national exam. I mean, that's how long ago it was. But I was in your position, so I know what you're going through, and I know a lot of people don't hear that a lot, but I know what you're going through. So I want the best for you as a massage student. I want you to pass. I want you to be happy in your career and your life, of course. And I don't know. I'm trying to do my part. That's all I can say. So, examples based on pathology or kinesiology. I went over one earlier, specifically about holding something heavy in one hand and, what kind of contraction that creates in, these specific muscles. If I'm holding something heavy in one hand, I have to hold it up like this, and that creates an isometric contraction in muscles that perform this action, right? So muscles that perform this action, we have levator scapulae, and we have the upper fibers of the trapezius. So those muscles could become exhausted pretty easily, and they could be sore the next day because you're putting all that pressure from that isometric contraction on those muscles, right? So I mean, that's just one example. You got to think about, okay, when somebody's holding something heavy, how is it pulling on their body? It's going to pull it down like this, maybe into lateral flexion a little bit, lateral flexion of the trunk a little bit, right? And to kind of stabilize that, we have to have muscles that pull the opposite way. And if it's pulling down, it's going to be depressing the scapula. So we have to have muscles that are pulling the scapula up into elevation, and the muscles that elevate the scapula again, levator scapulae and upper fibers of the trapezius. Okay, so and of course you got to know your muscle contractions. You have to know those for sure. So isometric, isotonic, and then two types of isotonic contractions, concentric and eccentric. You got to know those. It's incredibly likely that you're going to have a question or two or three involving those terms. Okay, so make sure you know what those muscle contractions are. And I go over all that information in my study guide, which is over there. I'm not going to reach for it. You know where to find it, of course. Got it? So what do you think? Any other questions? So, I mean, pathology, you could, I'm trying to think, what is a question? What's a scenario question that could involve pathology? I mean, of course, you've got a lot of structural questions. Like you could have a question about scoliosis, asking, yeah. Okay. You could have a question about scoliosis, asking the mechanics of scoliosis. One sec. There's a thing on it. Sorry, I had to provide pajamas for our youngest. So you could have questions like about scoliosis, asking, what muscles might specifically be tight that are causing scoliosis to take place, because scoliosis goes off to one side, and a lot of times it's caused, sometimes it's a congenital thing where you're born with it. Other times it's more over time, muscles become really tight and pull the vertebrae laterally out of place, and which muscles are causing that to happen. So that could be an example of a pathology related scenario question. I'm trying to think of other ones that I may or may not have seen in the past. I can't think of any off the top of my head. So you're far more likely to see structural, like kinesiology questions and business and ethics questions in scenarios than you are with pathology. So I'm not going to say don't worry about it, because you probably should worry about it, but definitely you got to know the ethics and business practices questions instead of just the pathology. You got to focus in on that stuff. And that's a lot of the problem that people have, and a lot of the reason they don't pass is they don't know how to respond to the ethics questions or the business questions. And I'm a business owner, so I have some experience with business, and I know what all the different the main types of businesses are, and the main tax forms, and all of this really exciting stuff that's I didn't really want to learn, but well, here we are. So I know all of that stuff. So I get a business question, I think like a business owner, and I tried to draw from my personal experience, but again, not everybody has that personal experience. Not everybody has been a business owner or is currently a business owner, especially when you're going to massage school. Like, how many people own a business and go to massage school at the same time? Not very many. So unfortunately, it's one of those things where you really got to study or put yourself in a situation where you got to apply that knowledge in some way. I'm not sure how you would do that without actually opening a business, but you could. And there's nothing wrong with owning a business. It's not for everybody though. So if you're the type of person that doesn't think that they would be good at owning a business, I mean, you might be right, you might be wrong, but I don't know if I would take that chance. It's not for everybody. You got to be the right kind of person to own a business. I guess you got to have the right frame of mind. So anyway, what other questions do you have? Does anybody have any other questions? What do you think? What you think? And any other MBLEx related questions? And hopefully everybody learned a lot about the hamstrings and the quadriceps today. Hopefully. I like to think that was pretty succinct. The important information was covered in that. Somebody please ask me a question. Somebody that I don't have to put in timeout, hopefully. What do you think? Anyone? Any questions about the MBLEx at all? Okay, since nobody's going to ask any questions, of course I have the. Okay. What about the guidelines for professional practice questions? I scored low both times on that area. What section of the book is that in? Guidelines for professional practice is. Let's see. Hold on one second. Guidelines for professional practice. See, that's so vague, isn't it? Guidelines for professional practice. My way of interpreting guidelines for professional practice is the business section on page 27, starting right here. And that goes, that also talks about the ethics. So business and ethics is what I would say for guidelines for professional practice. So when I think of that, it's business related. So basically, the entire massage therapy section you could say is guidelines for that. I mean, the first part is in my book, anyways. How do we do massage and what are the different strokes and all that fun stuff. I mean, you got to know that stuff if you're in professional practice. If you're a professional, you should know that stuff for sure. So it's kind of how I would approach that. Anyway, business and ethics is what I would focus on if that's your low area for sure. So again, definitely get really good at those scenario-based questions, especially with ethics. A lot of people don't. Again, like I said, people don't understand business, and that's fine. But that's more, kind of objective information. The business aspect, where there's not a bunch of gray room. It's this is an S corporation, and this is a 1099. And this is a license and all that stuff, like that easy to define stuff, right? Ethics, you gotta have examples with ethics for sure. Are you not seeing the question I posted? I don't see a question. I saw the question. What about guidelines for professional practice questions? And what section of the book is that in? I didn't see any other questions. What was I saying? Yes, the business stuff is much more. There are set definitions for all of this stuff, whereas ethics, there are definitions for these things, but you need examples to go along with them to make them kind of stick in your mind. At least I do. So when I'm learning something like transference and countertransference, I put myself in that situation. I say, okay, well, I'm with transference. I'm doing a massage, And then the client says something like, they, see, it can be so vague sometimes. They would say, "Oh man, I love coming to see you so much. You remind me so much of my son who lives on the other side of the country, and I hardly ever see him. You remind me so much of him." Like, that's, if somebody said that to me, it'd be like, okay, well, if I remind you so much of your son and you love seeing me because I remind you so much of your son, maybe you're developing some kind of an attachment to me as your therapist because I remind you of your son, and you're coming to see me not because of the quality of my work, just because you're trying to, you like that, feeling that kind of connection between you and your son through me. So, I mean, that's just one example of how I learned that. I think about that situation. I think of a client going through transference with me, and how I would respond in that situation. And if a client starts saying, I love seeing you because you remind me of my son, then I'm, as flattering as that is, I guess, that they like coming to see me, maybe they need to find another therapist, So with ethics stuff, I put myself in that situation. I think about how I would respond, and it's got, okay. There's a huge lag on the comment section apparently. Yes, there is quite a lag. It's, for me, I don't know how long the lag is. I apologize. So with ethics, put yourself in that situation. And again, you probably have a lot of ethics stuff that's happened to you already when you are working on people in practice, when you're working on clients that come in at the student clinic, or you're working on other students. Even when I was in school, I was having ethical things happen during clinic, even between the students. And I got really good at figuring out how to deal with a lot of these situations before they became a problem. So again, something you could do, of course, without names or anything, if you're preparing for ethical questions, if you have an ethical situation that happens in your massage, write it down without using names, without using details, like in-depth details. Write it down in like a notebook and said, well, today a client said this to me. How did I respond? And then see if that makes sense as far as ethics. And you can check the NCB-TMB Code of Ethics. I believe they still have those up. Just go to ncbtmb.org. I believe it's the website. It's been so long since I've been there, since they don't do the licensing tests anymore. And see if those code of ethics answer the question, did I respond appropriately to this situation or this conversation or whatever was said or done? Okay, so just kind of a suggestion anyway that I just thought of off the top of my head. So just give it a shot. Okay. I'm having trouble with anatomy section, for example, endocrine system and cardiovascular. What's the best way to study certain material? The best way to study certain material. I don't know how you learn. I don't know the best way for you specifically to study. All I have is my experience, and I draw when I'm studying something. I learn using a lot of different methods. With the heart, I found it was super helpful to actually see it and to draw the path of blood flow through the heart. And a lot of people like to use colored pencils or markers, and on the right side of the heart, they color the path blue because the blood is deoxygenated. And on the left side, they use red because the blood is returned from the lungs and now it has oxygen. So you could try that. But I'm a big proponent of actually drawing things out. So if you have, I mean, even if you don't have artistic ability, it's fine. one of the assignments I used to have my students do was actually draw the muscles and attachment sites, and I think that, for the students that actually took it seriously, I think that really, really helped them learn. Because if you have to draw it, you have to be able to kind of picture it in your mind. You have to say, okay, the hamstrings, I remember it, all three of them originate on the ischial tuberosity. So let me draw the ischial tuberosity. Then you draw an ischial tuberosity. You say, yeah, that looks like the ischial tuberosity. Then you draw, like the tibia and the fibula down below, and the femur. You can draw the femur. I mean, you don't have to, since they don't really attach. I mean, the short head of the biceps femoris does, but you don't need to know that. So you draw those bones, and then you draw the muscles as they attach to those bones, and that can help you get a visualization. I love doing art. I love drawing. I love painting. I love especially ceramic work. I love working with clay. I'm always doing stuff with my hands, I guess. So even if you don't think you're artistic, even if you think you don't have any artistic ability at all, still give it a shot and try to do something artistic to try to learn a lot of this information. Like I said, I learned the heart by actually drawing the heart and drawing each part of the heart. And was it perfect? No. But did I learn it? Yes. And that's the important thing, right? We want to learn this stuff. With the endocrine system, it's really like, what do endocrine glands make? Hormones. Where do they secrete hormones? Hormones only go one place, into the blood. That's why it's called an endocrine gland. Endo means inside, so it goes into the blood, as opposed to an exocrine gland, which goes onto a surface, like sweat or oil or milk and stuff like that. All exocrine glands, right? And then it's just, you only have a few different glands to actually learn and remember what they produce, what hormones are produced by each one of these glands. Like the pituitary gland, the three main hormones that you need to know: follicle stimulating hormone, and prolactin, and growth hormone. It's just remembering what each hormone does and which hormone or which gland produces each one of these hormones. Really important part of learning these, right? So remember, they all make hormones. The hormones all go into the blood, so they all can kind of affect homeostasis as well. Then it's just, the pituitary makes a ton of hormones, right? For the rest of them, it's really only one, maybe two other hormones at the most. Like the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. So that's two. The testes make testosterone. That's one. The adrenal glands make epinephrine and norepinephrine, right? So that's two. The pineal gland makes melatonin. That's one. The thyroid makes calcitonin. That's one. And of course, they make more than that, but the important ones, again, I get rid of the stuff that you don't need to know. If I don't think you need to know that a certain gland makes a certain hormone, I'm not going to put it in my book, and I don't want you to study that. I want you to study the most important information. And if the most important information about the thyroid is that it makes calcitonin, then so be it, right? So it's I don't know. Do art. Too long, didn't read. Do art. I go on rants. I go on tangents. I apologize. It has nothing to do with the Newcastle, by the way. I've hardly touched it. Okay. I really like Johnny mnemonic devices. Do you have any useful ones that helped you with the MBLEx? Let me see. I'm thinking of some. Now, somebody came up with one for the tarsals. I can't remember it. I cannot remember. I apologize for the tarsals, but for the carpals, of course. And I did an episode on my podcast all about the carpals, which you can check out. And of course, I mentioned this one. But some lovers try positions that they can't handle. is how I remember the carpals. So scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. So I remember some lovers try positions that they can't handle, and that tells you the order of and there is a specific order of the carpals. So we have 2 lines, a proximal line and a distal line, right? Proximal line is the first 4. Some lovers try positions, and then it goes back up here that they can't handle on the distal line, okay? So we got scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform, and then back up here, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. And just knowing that and knowing how it's arranged can give you the answers to a couple different questions that you may get about the carpals. Okay, so the first one, it always starts on the lateral side of the thumb that's on the proximal one. The scaphoid articulates with this bone, the radius. Okay, and that makes the radiocarpal joint, which is an ellipsoid or condyloid joint. And then trapezium, you jump all the way back over here. That would match up with that. So trapezium articulates with the metacarpal of the thumb to make the only saddle joint in the body. So that's one example of how you can, a mnemonic device that you can use to remember at least something. And there are a bunch of them. Another one, you can remember the term same. Now, I don't know if this actually applies, but just remember the term same in regards to nervous inputs. Okay, so we have sensory inputs and motor inputs. So sensory inputs are also called afferent impulses. Okay, so sensory, afferent, they are the same thing. So sensory impulses or afferent impulses go towards the center. So that's detection of sensation. So somebody touches the skin, you feel that sensation moves up to the body. So it'll go to the spinal cord. And if it's something that puts us in danger somehow, or like, let's say, my last live stream, like the night before, or the night after that live stream, I was showing pictures of my dad's, awesome laceration on his hand. I in turn got an awesome laceration on my finger, which is healed now. You can't even see that. No, you can't see it. It was pretty nice though, and it's numb in the area now. So I think I had some nerve damage. My kid loves to bring food into his room, and he had like cereal, like Fruity Pebbles or something, and he spilled it all over like his bed and behind his bed. So I was lifting the box spring up. It's just this little piece of like wood and cardboard or whatever. So I was lifting it up, and apparently there was a staple sticking out the side of it. So as I dropped it back down, it caught my finger and dug really far into my finger, completely ripped it open. And I looked at the staple the next day, and it was bent, and I'm pretty sure it was my finger that bent the staple. That's how far in it was. I just kind of, and it was very bloody. I didn't go to the doctor. I just I figured I'd clean it out and put some Band-Aids on it and keep it bandaged for a while and let it perform primary intention healing, which I can't remember if we've gone over that, primary intention healing. And it worked. Now the skin just kind of sticks up a little bit, kind of like I have a callus. Even though it's not a callus, it's a scar, and it's numb in that general area anyway. I can't remember what I was talking about to get to that point. So just remember those little sayings. You can come up with sayings yourself. Oh yeah, sensory, and there we go. I remember. So sensory and afferent impulses are the same thing. They detect sensation, and the sensation moves towards the brain for processing. Then motor or efferent impulses, and that would be the ME part of same. So sensory and afferent is the SA part of same, and motor and efferent are the N parts, the ME part of same. Motor impulses tell our body how to respond to the stimulus. Okay, so that's an impulse that goes from the brain or spinal cord back to the rest of the body. Okay, so I hope that helps a little, helps you remember the nervous impulses anyway, and which is which. Just remember same, SAME. Sensory is afferent, motor is efferent. So sensory is the sensory information, and motor is how we are responding to that information. Okay. Okay. I passed the exam because of your study material. Hey, awesome. Thank you. I'm glad to hear it. And now I have to go back to schooling in order to meet state requirements. What aspect of schooling do you recommend me taking advantage of the most? What aspect of schooling? Well, what classes do you need to take? Like, what classes are you going back to take that you have to take? And what state do you live in? Because that's weird. You pass the MBLEx, but they still make you go back. Now, I know some states you might have to take more schooling if they require more hours than the state that you were previously in, but I don't know, a couple states like New York has their own test. Hawaii has their own test. So what classes are you taking? Thank you so much for the advice. You're very welcome. What other questions do we have while we wait for that answer? Let's hear it. Hey, this Newcastle's a diuretic, right? What do diuretics make us do? What do they increase the production of? Diuretics increase the production of... Not that I have to do this right now. Just saying. What do you think? Of course, there's a huge delay in the stream for some reason. I'm not sure why. Why is there a huge delay? No one. I know there's a delay, but good golly, Miss Molly. Okay. Alcohol is a diuretic, which means it produces more. It makes the body produce more urine. And that's why a lot of people get hungover. It's not because they drank too much. It's because they peed too much. And every time you urinate, you are losing water. And when people are out drinking, yes, thank you everybody for finally chiming in. Renisha, hey, I recognize that name. Thank you. When you are out drinking and partying, I know it's been a while for a lot of us since we've been able to actually go out and drink and party like we used to. But you end up peeing, and then you don't think, I'm losing water every time I pee. I should probably drink more water. You just keep drinking more booze, right? I mean, this is made of water, of course. Of course, it's fine. I'm hydrating. You got to rehydrate in between every drink, right? So people get hungover because they become dehydrated because they have lost too much water. So easiest way to get over a hangover is rehydrate. And Pedialyte, of course. I know a guy who drinks Pedialyte after a night of boozing before he goes to bed, and then in the morning he feels good as new. That might just be anecdotal evidence, but works for him. And he's a big dude too, so definitely if it works for him, I would try it for sure. Require more hours, anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, pretty much all again. They change requirements, and the school I'm going to will not only give me the missing hours. Legit needed 820, only had 720, so you got another 100 hours of schooling. God, that's got to be so rough. Having to go back to school after you pass the test, after you pass the MBLEx, after you're done with school, have to go back and do another 100 hours. Man, I would not be happy, personally. I would look at it as trying to prove to yourself that you know the information, and you can look at it as a way to help other people who aren't in the position you're in, where they might need help with that information. There's nothing wrong with teaching. There's the old saying, those that can do, those that can't teach. That's not true, by the way. I do the best massage on the planet to this day, but so I can definitely do. But I love teaching. I love teaching. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun seeing the look on people's faces when you are trying to explain something to them, and they just all of a sudden get it. Like, especially the heart. Like I said, when I was teaching in actual school, that was the last class the students took, and they missed out on a ton because we had subpar instructors before they got to me. And the piece of information that I remember students kind of finally getting and being excited about getting after I went over it with them was the heart. Okay. So just seeing that look on their face and knowing that you helped somebody learn something is super satisfying. And I definitely recommend it. So if you know the information and you see somebody struggling, try to help out, try to teach them the information. Because sometimes people, we once in a while we get an instructor that we just don't learn anything from, and that might not necessarily be their fault. And to a point, but there are some people that just aren't really compatible with certain instructors, right? Like some instructors teach a specific way and have a certain way of explaining things that maybe some people don't understand. And other instructors have the perfect way of explaining things that almost everybody understands, right? So it's one of those things where maybe the person that's struggling in class might just not be able to understand what the instructor is saying when they are trying to teach this information. And maybe they need somebody else to help out and try teaching it in a different way. And I think a lot, when I taught the heart and everything, people, that might have been it. That might have been it with a lot of people, because I know they went over the heart, but a lot of people just didn't understand it. Like, well, I guess I got a good way of explaining it then. So I don't know, try that, and that'll make the 100 hours go by a little bit easier if you're in there actively trying to teach, and it's super rewarding, I promise. Yeah, it's a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours. My school was, God, definitely not 900 hours. Oof. My school was, I think I ended with 650 or 660 or yeah, something like that. Somewhere around there is where I ended school. And I don't know, I got a decent education, I'd say. It was definitely not the best. So I know what you're going through. I did not have the best education in the world. I don't know. Just it was a weird course. It's a weird course where I went to school. But times have changed in the past. Do some math. 16 years since I've been in school. So who knows? It's probably better now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I did not learn while I was in school that I had to learn on my own. So again, I understand what a lot of you are going through. So if you need help or anything, shoot me an email, david@MBLExtestprep.com. I'm here to help. Okay, I'm here to help. So, can you imagine my face when they said they would only transfer 215 hours and that I needed to redo 700 hours since my school closed the program and went to a new one? Lol, I'ma have fun. I would have been furious. I would have, I don't know what I would have done. I would not have agreed to it. So I wouldn't have personally. Yeah, I probably would have been extremely furious. And, yeah. So, but I'm glad you're getting it taken care of. And I think you said you only have 100 hours to do. So just get it done. Take it as an opportunity to learn how you are. Maybe as an instructor, maybe that's a career that you could pursue. teaching people and becoming a massage instructor. Teaching is super fun. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody enjoys having the attention. Everybody's staring at you, and it's your job to talk and teach people things. I like it personally. It's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of instructors don't understand is you got to keep people interested. I suppose you got to captivate your audience. It's a performance. It's performance art. Even though you're teaching something, you still have to perform and keep them engaged. So practice that. Practice teaching and becoming kind of a charismatic, engaging person. See if you can teach somebody something and make them have fun while they're doing it. Oh, I think I'm good at that. I don't know. Everybody watching is probably like, no, you're incredibly boring. How dare you suggest that you have any sort of charisma or are any good at entertaining any of us? How dare you? I apologize. I'm sorry for the mere suggestion. All right, what are the questions we got? What are the questions about the MBLEx? Do we have? Oh, okay. I got to redo 700 hours in 6 months. Well, yeah, I must have misread it. I don't know what to say. I apologize. I apologize for. Well, now that it's a good. Okay. I always try to find the silver lining in everything, right? That's how I try to operate. Trying to look at the bright side of almost everything. So having to do another 700 hours, even though you've passed the MBLEx, it's a chance for you to really get great at this. I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying to find something to soften the blow, I guess. Again, try teaching it to people. Try to get really, really good at this stuff and really practice your massage technique. Just think of it as a 700-hour kind of internship, I suppose, where you're still learning. Of course, we're all still learning. You learn something all the time. I said one of my old students, she's been massaging for 6 years. I reached out to her. She posts videos on Facebook, the Book of Faces, advertising her business, and it shows her actually performing a massage. And I see her doing this massage thing. I'm like, hey, why don't you try doing this? See how it works. She's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I'll give it a shot. Never found out if she actually did it or not, but she showed a willingness to at least try it and see if it works. So, yeah. So it gives you a chance to maybe try to become the best massage therapist that's ever come out of the school, and you should be really good at this stuff. And definitely, I'm gonna make sure to help all my peers with the MBLEx prep and see if teaching may be for me. I don't know what to call that that face. I don't know. The pointy eye. Is that I don't know. Yeah, teaching is awesome. I love teaching, like I said. So definitely give it a shot. See if it's for you. And that will help you learn the information even more than you know it now. So what I recommend anyway. Okay, so I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. So any other questions about the MBLEx that I can answer? What do you think? And of course, while I'm waiting for more questions, if there are any, I do have the MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide and Workbook 2021 edition. You can find it on Amazon.com or MBLExTestPrep.com. Pick up your copy. I do have the tutoring packages available. Just go to MBLExTestPrepShop.com. You can order yours. The complete package includes this and 25 hours of audio and video, tutoring audio and video, and a complete practice test with a video answer key. so you can see how you are testing and strategies you can use to test better. Okay. And I also, if you already have this, I have the digital package, which is 25 hours of tutoring, audio and video, and the practice test with the video answer key. It just doesn't include this. So, I mean, you don't want 2 study guides if you don't need them, right? I mean, you could get the complete package and gift the study guide to somebody else who needs it. I don't know, might work. So I have all that. And of course, my app, the MBLEx Test Prep app. Oh man, it's even got a timer. I've had it sitting on there. The timer is running out. Oh man. Let's move on to the next question. All of the following are caused by an infection of the staphylococci bacteria except A, cellulitis, B, osteomyelitis, C, sebaceous cyst, D, impetigo. Just a little sample of what I have to offer here. Oh, and you can't skip. You can't skip. You have to answer the questions. Just like on the MBLEx. I don't want you skipping questions. It'd be ridiculous. Don't skip questions. Answer the question. Yeah, I try to make your testing as easy as possible. Okay. Yeah, the tutoring sessions. Awesome. So definitely look for that app. Again, you'll want to pick it up when it comes out because I will be updating it throughout the year, and you only want to pay for that one fee, not because every time I update it with a new feature, the price is going to go up. It's going to be worth the price, whatever price it is, but get in at the cheapest it's ever going to be for sure. How would you strengthen a weak piriformis, and what techniques would you use to massage, stretch it? Man, it's like, are you spying on me, Britt? Are you spying on me? Because I've been having problems with my piriformis the past like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, awful. So I mean, any exercise you do, if you want to strengthen it, you're going to do the actions that the piriformis does. So exercise is a great way to study for kinesiology. You got to know what muscles do, right? If you want to strengthen a muscle, you perform that action, and that strengthens the muscle. Okay. So the actions that piriformis does. Get Calica back over here. So the actions that piriformis does, piriformis originates right. Good Lord. Right here. See this red? This red right here on the sacrum? That's where it originates, the anterior surface of the sacrum. Then it comes right over here and inserts onto the greater trochanter. Okay, so any action that you want to do, or any exercise you want to do that strengthens the piriformis, is going to be an action that the piriformis does. So piriformis is responsible for lateral rotation and abduction of the hip. Okay, so if you want to strengthen the piriformis, you got to do those actions. And at the gym, there are machines where you can actually sit down. You'll have your legs together. You'll be sitting in this machine, and it'll have 2 pads on either side of your thighs, and then you abduct your thighs, and that helps strengthen the glutes and the piriformis, the muscles that abduct the hip. When I do it, I experience cramping in a lot of different muscles because I don't do it that often anymore. I used to all the time do it. Just this, the pandemic, closing the gym, has really affected my exercise quite a bit. So what you're going to do, right? So if you want to strengthen a muscle, you're going to do exercises that perform that muscle. You definitely want to use weight with that to give it a little bit of resistance, so it helps build the muscle and make it stronger. Without weight, it's more just kind of toning that area, and that's not really what you want. You definitely want to stretch the piriformis. I don't know why I put the skeleton away. So you cross one leg over like this, and then keeping the right shoulder down. If you're stretching the right piriformis, you would going to twist this way. God, so much easier if I could actually show you on a body. But you cross your leg over your knee and then twist this way, and that stretches that out, immediately rotates and adducts your hip, which is the opposite actions. If you want to stretch a muscle, you do the opposite of its actions. Okay. Another one, you would cross it like this and then grab your left thigh back here and then bring it up like this, and that would also stretch out the piriformis there. Okay, so just a couple suggestions, of course. Louis Roland, I have no idea who Louis Roland is. Does it in Spanish. He might help you and translate your app in Spanish. I know a lot of people. I don't say a lot of people. A few people have requested my app and my book in Spanish. The problem is my book has thousands and thousands of words, and translators like to charge per word or per page. And since my book is, almost over 350 pages, I'd spend a small fortune getting it translated into Spanish. So unfortunately, translating it into Spanish probably not going to happen unless somebody does it for free. But even then, they could just be lying to me, because I know a little bit of Spanish, but I'm at best conversationally fluent. I can have very small conversations in Spanish, but I can't, I don't know Spanish, So they could just put whatever. They could say something totally wildly inappropriate in my book, and I wouldn't know it. So I don't know. Not that I don't trust people, because I trust people, of course, but I don't know. That's a lot of money, a lot of time, and it seems like it could be a lot of headache getting everything translated. So I don't know. Maybe someday, if I'm independently wealthy at any time, I will. I'll pay somebody to do a Spanish version. I could just learn Spanish myself. That's a lot of work, though. I don't know. Okay, so any other questions? Any other questions? I've been going for an hour, 41 minutes. I haven't even finished this beer. It's Newcastle. Haven't even finished it. Man, been too busy talking, of course, and answering incredible questions. So I'll give it another minute. Send in your questions, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And again, check out my study guide, MBLEx Test Prep Comprehensive Study Guide and Workbook 2021 edition. You can find it on Amazon.com or MBLExTestPrep.com. Check out my tutoring packages as well. The complete package has the study guide and 25 hours of audio and video tutoring, audio and video, and a complete practice test with a video answer key. And the digital package has everything mentioned except the study guide, because it's digital. And the study guide is physical. It's a physical book. And hey, anybody that orders the complete package, you also get a sticker. I got some stickers made. I'm sure everybody saw that. Yeah, little sticker. You can put it on whatever, or throw it away, I guess, if you want to waste my money. I guess I would be wasting my money sending it to somebody that doesn't want it. I don't know. You get one anyway. Everybody gets one. Until they run out. Then nobody gets one. Until I order more. Then everybody gets one. Anyway. Okay, so if nobody else has any other questions, I'm going to sign off here in just a second. So thank you for joining me for an hour and almost 45 minutes. It's always a pleasure jumping on and doing a live stream with you. I've had a pretty awful past month, and I hadn't really felt up to doing anything at all. So I definitely needed to get on here and interact with, somebody, even if it's just through text in the interwebs. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate everybody who stopped by, except the two people who know who they are, who are trolling me. trying to get me to say inappropriate things, which will not happen. I'm not no. I'm not stupid, despite what some people think. So so thank you for everybody, almost everybody who joined this evening. Thank you for all the questions. Again, check out all of my stuff. Subscribe to my podcast. Be on the lookout for my app on whatever app store, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It'll be on both iOS and Android. So definitely check that out when it's available. Again, just stay tuned. I'll make an announcement when it's available. So don't go very far, I suppose. Okay. Since I did not get any other questions, I'm going to sign out. So until next time, this is David saying adios. There's a little bit of Spanish. I can put adios and nice. Pretty good. All right. Take it easy.